So before you start watching the complete video, if you are unable to complete your POC by your own, I'm attaching this entire code of this whole sessions in my YouTube link. Okay, and you'll be able to, like, if you're not able to do it, you can install in other system or you can install in other applications and try to see the code and try to do it. Okay, just don't copy, just try to see that. Okay, one thing which you have to do is that. One thing which you have to do is that you have to update the key in the request data transform, and also I'll be sharing that the user id and password. So the user id is password I'll mention in the YouTube channel. Okay, and then I'll just saying here as well, author at the rate booking, and the password is roles. So let's start. Good morning. So today we'll be seeing REST connector. Okay, so this request was like coming on the YouTube from a long time from everyone to have that integration, some video and integration. So today I'll be creating or today we'll be learning a REST integration. So for that, let's first see that how the REST connectors work. Okay, so if you see, like, whenever we talk about integration, so it has, like, usually we see two components. Okay, one is the connect and then the one is the service. Okay, so service is that server which will serve something. Okay, and then connector is like the client. Okay, so it's like a client and then server kind of a model. Okay, a client is that a connector, basically client will connect to server and server will give some data. Okay, so today we'll be seeing connectors, means we will connect to some other system and get the data. We don't want to make the changes. Okay, so today we'll not be creating service. So let's see that how connectors works in Pega. Okay, so what happens, okay, let's say we are building some applications and then at some point of time, okay, we need some data from other system. Okay, so in that case we call connector. I mean, sometimes we like we have a different methods for connector also. So if you're getting using get, that means we're just trying to get the data from other system. If you're using a post, then we are trying to change the data to other system. Okay, so like some other methods are there: get, post, put, okay, update. So we are not going to all methods today. We'll be just seeing that get method. So basically we'll connect to some other system and get the data. So how we do in Pega is that here you can see this in diagram. So we have a Pega application. So from this Pega application, we'll be using data page. Okay, so connect rest, we have the methods as well in activity. We'll be using database. Through the database we'll be connecting to external system. So what happens in the database, we mention three type of rules. Okay, we mention connect rest rule. Okay, or the connect connectors, whatever type you're using, either you're using soap or other things. So we'll be using that connect, and then request and response data transform. So here you can see that request and response is there. Okay, so here in applications layer we will be using database. From the database, system will then prepare the request. Okay, and then using connector it will connect to that external system and return the response, and then map the response, and then again so to Pega applications. Okay, so we will be seeing that. Okay, so just be patient. Okay, because this is going to be a long video. Okay, because I'll show you from the beginning to end. Okay, so we need a client. Okay, we need a client. Okay, or the server, sorry, we need a server which will serve us. Okay, so when we'll call them, okay, when we'll ask something, okay, then that server should serve. So for that, what I have done, okay, so weather API is there. Okay, so we will be using this weather API today. Okay, so it's a free. Okay, you can register, and then for your POC you can do that. Okay, so what is this API does is it returns that weather. Okay, so we will pass the two data. So you can see here I'm passing that API key. So once you log into this weather API, I'll attach this link in the YouTube video, and then it will give you API key. And then don't expose this API key. Okay, after video I'll delete this. So this is the API key, and then the protocol you can use STP or HTTPS depending on your URL. And then it has a two parameter, so API key and then the q is basically query string. Okay, so basically it takes that location, so zip code, and then it will return the response. So you can see here when I'm getting the response for Kolkata. So it will give us that the temperature. Okay, so here you can see that we have the temperature in C, temperature in F, and then we have few winds and other details as well. So basically it is returning the current temperature. Okay, So this is how this API is there. Okay, let me show you. I have configured the same API in Postman as well, because whenever we try any API to connect to Pega, we usually try and see that if it is working from the Postman as well. Now a Postman, or if you are using any other client, okay, API client like SOAPY or other things. So I have here that the SOAPY, Postman. So you can see that I have configured. So this is the endpoint URL, okay. And then in query string, I'm passing London. So I just want to get the weather for London, and then API key, okay. So we are passing key. So how we are doing? So in params, if you go here, I have configured queue, and then the value, and then again the key and the value. So it auto gets attached to this URL, so it will form that entire URL. So when I'm sending, I'm getting the response here, okay. So you can see that we have a 3 nodes: locations, current, basically 2 nodes, and inside that without nodes we have few more details. So we will be using all the details, okay. And then also we have to handle the error as well. So let's say I'm just passing in query some random things, okay. So then we are seeing here that we'll be getting a response that no locations found, okay. So see, no matching locations found. So we have to handle that error as well, okay. So let's go ahead and consume this API, okay, REST API in Pega. So but before going to consume, okay, I have created a sample booking applications. So where what I am doing here, okay, that in these applications I'm filling the applicant details and then the conference details. So in booking applications, we're trying to book a conference. So in the first page, okay, we'll be filling the applicants and conference details. Second page will be displaying the weather details, okay, of the conference location. So the person who is booking that, okay, he can see that the weather details or the forecast, like depending on, we have a multiple API, so we'll be using the current one, but we can use the forecast one as well. So basically we are showing that the weather, after seeing that weather, the person can change the location. So let's say that conference is happening in multiple places, so depending on the weather he can book that, okay. So this is how like I have built that use case. So let's go ahead and then try to consume this API. So what I'll do to consume that, what we have to do, where we have to go configure and integrations, connector, and then create REST integrations. So this is the path we have to follow: integrations, connector, and REST connector. So let's first create that, and I'll show you how we have to use this, the whole things, okay. So here system name is giving. So let's say that system name, if you know the system name, then fine. Otherwise, like let's say I'll just give that weather system or whatever. So or we can give this weather API or something, whatever you feel, okay. So this is all depends on you. That endpoint URL, so the endpoint URL is this one, okay, current.json. So usually you'll not have current.json, something like that, but here that system, that weather API is providing both the API, okay, for the like JSON and the XML, and that is where we have that current.json or current.xml. See, I was talking about the forecast, so we have the forecast as well. So we can use the forecast as well, and then based on the forecast we can, like, that person can decide that should I book for which location, okay. So here I given that current JSON. We don't have to do anything in this one, resource parameter. If you want to use that and pass it dynamically, yes, we can do. See, the moment I'm selecting, then this is coming like the current.json, okay. So sometimes what happens, we pass few things in the resource parameter as well, depending on your depending on your service. But here we are not using, so we'll be passing this hard-coded value, okay. If you have a dynamic value, then you can use this one, and here that dynamic value will come, so we'll set that value. But this is a hard-coded value. We are going to use b1 and current JSON. The next thing, it is asking the query string. So yes, we have a 2 query strings, okay. So if you see here on the Postman, what query string we have a queue and then key. So let's add those 2 things, key and then I'll add queue. And then we don't have header, and if you have authentications, then we can add it, but for now we are just skipping this, okay. So we'll not use authentications, remove authentications. We'll see in some other sessions how we can use authentications profile. So in authentications profile, either we can use certificate or we can use OAuth, okay. So that's a separate topic. Let's first learn this, how integrations work. So let's click next. So in this one, so here you can see that it is asking us to select the methods and also saying give the resource name. So we'll say get weather. So we'll just say get weather details. or get weather, just like have a short name. And then here it is asking to select like the methods. Okay, so we are going to use that get method, so we can select next. So here in the next sessions and like next data model, it is asking us to add a response. Okay, so we can add upload a file as well. So you can see in get we are only getting options to upload responses. Why? Because in get we are not going to pass many things, we're just going to pass in a query string. Okay, but in response we will pass that request as a message body. Okay, so that is where like in response, so let me go back and select the post, then I'll show you, you'll get an options to upload a request and response both the files. See here in get and post you are getting, so for both the options you are getting post. Let's say I'll select post, then you're seeing okay, we can upload sample request and response type. Okay, so when we'll use this one, so let's say you are trying to work like trying to consume an API, but that's API is not available, it's not live, but still you want to go ahead and consume it. Okay, so in that case we can upload the file. Okay, but let me go back again and uncheck this post. Then if I do, then again we can see that we'll be only getting options to upload the response file, but we are not getting to upload the request file. So basically because request doesn't have any message body. Okay, here also in see on this one in request body I don't have anything. Okay, so it's a blank. See here yesterday I tried like the WhatsApp one, so here you can see that WhatsApp API, WhatsApp cloud API. So here we have that the body. Okay, so in the request body we have to pass these details, but here we are using just because it's a post one. Okay, so post, but if you are using get, then for get body is most of the time not required. Okay, so let's come back again to Pega, and then here so what we will do, either we can upload the response file or we can run the service. So this service is working, so what I'll do, I'll just pass the key, and then so I'll just copy this key and pass the details, and then pass the, then what it will do, it will run. Okay, and it will return that response, sample response. So we can use this sample response to build our data model. Okay, so I'll just say submit. So you can see that get run view, so we have this already here. Now we need that error response as well. So if you are uploading at the same time, you can upload request and success response and then failure response JSON in a same file. So then you'll get the entire data model. But here we can run again with a failure response, so that we'll have that, I mean we will be creating that data model as well for. So here we got the error, so now I'll submit. So we have a two sample. Okay, so one is like you can add multiple based on your scenario, you can add as many as you want. Okay, because sometimes what happens, we get some node, in some scenario we get some other node. Okay, node is basically the response. Okay, so here you see this is the node. If I come here, let me change this one. Okay, so this is the locations and current is the node in JSON. So now we'll click next. So here it is asking, okay, so this will be our integrations class, qt booking int and weather sys. So we can maybe update it sys. So the class name is short, that is where Pega is restricting. Okay, and then the ID connector name get weather, this is fine. And then here it is saying weather system, you want to create a rule set. Okay, so if you want to use existing rule set you can use it, but if you're creating a new integrations, maybe you can create a, like sometimes what we happen, we club all one system integrations in one rule set. Okay, I mean basically per systems we can create one rule set. Okay, so here weather system is coming because I have already consumed it. Okay, that is where it's a coming weather system. So I'll just make it weather sys. Okay, new. And then data. Okay, data model. Okay, so for now I'll be creating the entire data model, but you can skip this part, because what happens, Pega will just duplicate whatever we have the integrations data, it will create the similar structure for that data as well. Okay, so here if you see that connector name, connector, and then request details, so you have to focus this part, I'll explain further also. Connector and then request data will go in integrations layer int, and the response, so this whatever we'll use, this data model, mapping data model is for response. So I'll just update this one as well, get weather. Okay, submit. And now I'll create. Okay, so before creating, if you preview this, what are it, see, so here you can see the two data transform. So basically two data transform is one request data transform, one response data transform. then data page, one data page which will, and which one we will have data page with a source connector, okay, and then one connect rest, okay, and then the property and the classes. Okay, so based on our request sorry, based on our response, it will create the classes request and response, but here our request is very simple. Okay, so let's connect this one, close this one and create it. So let's submit that and create. So after creating this, okay, we have to make sure that this integrations rule set is added in our applications rule set. So let's first wait for that one. So it's done. So from here only, let's review the data page, because this is very important. Okay, so this is that like kind of a initiations point. So you can see this one. So it created a page class, a page type of data page. Okay, and I was talking, as I was talking, that it created three, mainly four rules. Okay, so sometimes you'll get a question in your CSA or CSSA that when we are connecting to client, okay, I mean sorry, basically as a client, when we are connecting to server, what all details you need to create, or what all rules Pega will create. So let's review from here. So you can see that it created a data page, okay, with the source connector, so connect rest or like connect soap, whatever the rule. So we got a connector here, and then we got a request and response data transform. So request data transform is to prepare the response and send it to the other system, and when we'll receive the response, okay, we'll map it, and then we have to select the method. Okay, so if you see here, if I open the request data transform, you'll see that this has been created in integrations layer. See, Qt booking, int weather sys, get weather API. See, so that is where I was talking, and this request query. So we had that request query key and then Q. So we have added that. So this will come as a parameter, and this parameter is there in data transform as well. So sorry, data page. So when we'll call this data page from anywhere, we have to pass this two parameter to get the response. Okay, so let's open that. So this is the request data transforms where we are setting, and open that connector as well. So if you open the connector, we can see that resource path. Okay, so basically the endpoint URL is here. Okay, it has hard coded, but we can create a application settings. We usually do not hard code this one. Okay, so application settings, so we'll learn sometimes. Authentications profile is blank. Okay, but if required authentications profile, we can create an authentications profile and then refer. Okay, and then let's go to that method. So what methods we are using? We are just using get methods, and in get methods we are just passing two parameters, okay, key and Q. So you can see that this mapping, okay, whatever we have set in response data transform, same property we are setting here, request query underscore get that key and then Q. In request, you can see that there is no message header. Okay, so in there is no message data. That is where I was talking, that there is no body in get. But if you see in post, we have that message data. So basically the body we have to pass. So that this one, if I show the WhatsApp one, so if you're using this WhatsApp one, trying to connect the WhatsApp one through Pega, so this will go as a message data. Okay, but we are using get, so we don't have that one. So first, maybe if you're just learning, just try the get one. But yeah, here what Pega will do, Pega will, if you're using that, even though if you're using post, you don't have to worry. Pega will create the entire JSON for you, okay, and it will do the mapping. You don't have to worry. You have to just worry about this one, how you have to call. Now let's see that response data transform. So if you see that response data transform, this is there inside the weather. Oh, sorry, data. So data get weather, and then if you see here, it has mapped all the properties. So data source, so data source is basically, I'll show you what I'll run and then show you what is data source. Okay, and then here the primary is there. Okay, so that data page, okay, whatever we have created, and then here it has mapped all the details. So you can see that on locations it has mapped all the attributes whatever we have in that locations, and same for error and same for current. Okay, so let's run this one and see, okay, how it works. So to run this one, so that is where it's like, if you're using data pages, it's very easy. You can run manually, okay, I mean individually you can run. So here it is asking, okay, so let me run this one. Okay, so some broken things is coming. Let me refresh this. 1 second, let me open in a cognito window. Some issue is happening, so I'll just enter that user ID and password. Okay, so let's run this data page. Okay, so now here it's coming fine. Okay, so we'll copy that key, and then in queue basically we have to pass that location city name. So I'll just, let's say, pass Kolkata, and then plus, and run this one. So you can see that we have got 3 nodes. So in current we have got the data, in error we have that things is blank, and in locations also we have got the data. Let me pass few things here, and then, like, if this time we should see that our locations is blank. See, locations is blank, current is blank, but we got the response for error, no matching locations found. So this is working. Now the next thing is that we have to use it. We have to use it in our application. So we have to use it. So to use that, what we have to do, we have to call this data page from our applications layer. So this is very important, okay, that we should not use this like in request on response. Okay, we should not try to use our applications layer work page in integrations layer. Okay, so what we'll do, we will be using this data page to get the data and map it to our applications layer and show the data. One more thing here, you can see that, okay, so I was talking about the data source. Okay, so let's understand that as well. So let me run here. So that if you see here in response data transform, we are passing in request or somewhere. 1 second. Parameter, usually it should be in parameter. Yeah, it should be, this parameter should be checked. I'm not sure like why it's not checked. So this parameter should be checked. Okay, so what happens, okay, Pega has like internally it creates a random with a random name data source, okay, and then maps the data or that one and then pass it to this one. So you can see here in parameters we have a data source with the page name, and then that, and the class is that same integrations one. Okay, and then from integrations we map it to primary, because primary is that our the database which is there in data layer. Okay, so let me run here and show you. So I'll just London, and let me trace it. So in tracer you'll see this. So in tracer you can see that, okay, this is that one data page. So this is, I was talking about data source, and this belongs to integrations layer. So see here we have that entire things, and then pxobj class, this is the int. Okay, and then I'll show you that in the parameter page side we should have something called data source with that page name. I think it's blocking that. Yeah, it's blocking. So let me enable that pop-up. See here we should see that a data source is somewhere in, see here I was talking about the data source. See, this is that data source, and this is the same d underscore something d, and then some random number is generated and created data source. So what happens, the same data source gets passed to this one response data transform, and from there, from that integrations layer, we map the data to our data layer. And in data layer you can see that we have replicated an entire structure. So sometimes we do not do, I'll show you how we can avoid that, because here what happens, it replicated an entire integration and data layer. So because sometimes we just need a few of the property only, we don't want all. So you can skip that while running from the wizard, and you can create a manually as well, and you can just map it whatever we need it. Okay, we don't have to map everything. So if you see this d underscore get weather, this belongs to data. Okay, and then like what happens from this d underscore random number, okay, it maps the data to d underscore get weather. Okay, so if I see here in the beginning, so it's calling, so here we called it. Okay, so here we have the data on that integration integrations data page. But here if I see d underscore get weather, okay, that the primary one, it doesn't have anything. But like when the response data transform is getting executed, see here the response data transform is getting executed, and then finally it maps the entire detail. So that is where I was saying that maybe in this one you don't need everything, you just need whatever you need for your application. So but here the Pega have mapped it everything, so that you need to discuss with your LSA and then see how much data you have to map. Okay, so it depends on applications. Okay, one more things we can do is that instead of doing this whole things, what you can do, so let me comment it out. Okay, what people does is, okay, I have seen that even though if you want to map everything, how you can do is like without creating that entire data layer. Okay, so what people does is this response underscore get is there, right? So in this one it is mapped to integrations class, it's a page type property. So what we can do here, so we can also create primary dot response, something like that we can create. Let's see. Okay, so we can create this primary dot response, another page type property. So if you see, this property was there in integrations layer, but we can create a similar type of property in data layer and we can give the same class. Okay, so here you can see that we'll give a single page and we can give the same class. Sorry, not this one, this one. So basically what we are doing, we are creating a property in data layer, okay, with integrations layer class. So we will be basically we trying to reuse that whole data model, okay, from the integration. So now let's run and we'll see that. Okay, so even though we are not using the data one, so entire details will get mapped to this one. Okay, but yeah, the class for this one will be integrations class. So let me run again and show you. So I'll just trace and run. So now we'll see that our response data transform, so d underscore get weather, okay, I think still it is not saved. Let me save and rerun again. So let me just do, yeah, so now I saved it and I checked in. So checked in is not required. So just now let's run this one. So everything previously, if you have noticed that things were directly mapping to primary dot locations, primary dot error, primary dot current. Now it will map primary dot response and then locations. So let's see that difference. Run here and then pass enter the key. So let me copy that key value and then I hope you are getting getting this one. Okay, or if like when we'll watch, if you're not getting, let me know. So if you see here, this time we do not get that locations, current and error. Okay, because we got those things inside that response underscore get. Okay, so let me see that there is some issue, it didn't get mapped. But if you see, this is how we can map it. So let me debug this one, why it didn't get mapped. Ideally it should get mapped values from response underscore get. So it should get mapped. So that this is how we do. Okay, so if you don't want to create the entire, we don't want to replicate the entire data structure, we can do it like this. Yeah, see, it came. So it came current and then location and condition. So you can see that error didn't came. Okay, because we don't have error, so it didn't came. But previously it was coming because it was getting initialized in that data transform. Okay, so in this way we can save that entire structure creating. So but for this one you have to do manually, so wizard will not do. So you can just skip this data transform, response data transform and request data transform. But request data transform you can prepare manually because Pega will create the data model. Okay, so you have to do manually, and for response also you have to do manually. So you can skip this one. Now for now, okay, let's enable this one. Okay, let's keep this one only. Okay, because we don't want to use that the whole things. Okay, so now we have to map this data and use it in our applications. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. So let's come back here. So let's close this thing. So now I hope you get like little bit on this side. Okay, that how we can do that. Now the next thing is that, okay, let me open that case type. Okay, so here we have the case type apply for conference and this one. So in between we will be calling that service. Okay, so I'll write a data transform to call that service. So we have to always write data transform for this kind of a thing. So what I'll do, so here apply for conference is there. So here we don't have any options to call data transform. Okay, so let me show you. Okay, I'll just place a stub utility, and then before review we have to make sure to call that integration. So here, and then here we can refer it. Now we'll get an options to call data transform. So here we'll say apply data transform, get weather details, something like that we can say, and create a data transform. Okay, so let me do that quickly, and it will be a clipboard and your applications layer. So for now just comment it out and then save it. Okay, the next thing is that let's submit it, and then here we can get the descriptions also, get weather details. Okay, so that someone can see from that case type get weather details. So it's just a POS stub utility. I used it to so that I can plug this data transform. Now let me go back and refresh the case type. So we can see here, from here we can see that, okay, before review we are getting the weather details. Now if you remember, for the weather details, what is mandatory? Okay, so we need param.key. So here I am hard coding this one key value, but usually you should not pass this key from your applications layer. Okay, you can remove from your database and just like take the value. Okay, and let me show you. Okay, so from here, from applications layer, we'll just pass the queue. Okay, and the value of the queue will be, if you see this case type, let me open that portal again here. So basically we want to pass the city. Okay, so see here we want to pass the city, so that for that city we'll get that things. Okay, so we already have object. So you can see that we have the weather conference address, and in conference address we want to pass the city in param.q. So I passed one parameter, and let me open that data page. So from this one, what we can do, release log. So from this one, what we can do, we don't want to pass the key from the applications layer. So I'll just remove this key from here. One second. So t underscore get weather. So from here, what I'll do, I'll remove this key parameter. Okay, and just save it. And I'll go to response data transform, and the value which is mentioned as a param.key, so that you can get it from DSS or somewhere. For now, I'll just hard code it here in response data transform, because we don't want to pass these things from our applications layer. From applications layer, we only pass our attribute, application attribute, and then queue will come from there. So let me just check in this one. So this is done. I hope you will be getting this one. Okay, so here this is fine, and then param.q. So now we set that one attribute. Okay, and then we have to call this data page. So how we can call is, okay, so just simply d underscore take this one, and then in this one we'll just add below, and we can just do update page, and then just call this one. So what it will do, it will take this parameter and call this one. Okay, so if I have to show you before like calling from real applications from the case, we can run this one and also test. So let me do that one. So run. So I'll just trace it here. So here what we are doing, we are passing that locations, sorry, in place of locations I'll say London, and then what it will do, it will take this value q and then call this data page and then return the response. Okay, so let's see this one. Okay, so run this. So see, it ran and we got the details, entire details. So on this d underscore one we got here, and then on database, okay, we got underscore under response underscore got we got entire details. So this is How this is how we can do that. Okay, so we can run individually as well. And I hope you got that concept of this data source. Okay, because the data source is like kind of a temporary database, okay, of belongs to integrations list which Pega creates. We pass see you can here, if I remove we pass to response data transform. Okay, and then from there, like we have referred in parameters as a page name, and then this page name belongs to integrations layer. Pega automatically it does that. Okay, so you just need to understand, you don't have to do anything, and from this one we'll be mapping to our layer, okay, primary layer. So now what it will do, so we are done. Okay, so here we'll refer that exact city, also weather conference details dot city. So this is done. Now the next thing is that we called it. Okay, now we have to map that data. Okay, so we have to map the data on our applications layer. Okay, so here we are saying that weather details, so weather details dot. Okay, so I have 4 or 5 properties, so let me just add quickly those property. Conference weather details. So maybe you'll create a separate data transform for these things, or I'll show you how we can optimize this one as well. So temperature in F, I'll map 3 or 4 property for now to just show you how we can do that. So weather details, so this is the weather details through which we are displaying the data, and wind in kph, let's say. So now you need to understand that which property have these details. Okay, so we'll just refer this one, and then we need to understand this. Okay, so we can see that. Okay, let's run this one, and from the tracer we need to understand and see which property we have to map it exactly. So either you can see from the tracer, or you can see from that. So now it is not working, so let me see that from here. So you need to understand that in which portions, okay, or where we have that value. Okay, so let me run this data page again. From there we'll understand. Okay, so this one I'll just pass. There is some issue here while running, so let me run from the other place. We need to understand that structure. So a structure, so yeah, if you see here d underscore get weather, so we have to use this response underscore get, d underscore response underscore get here, and then inside that, okay, let's see that where we have that temperature in C. So if you see in temperature underscore C, we have underscore current. Yeah, so we have to say current dot current, and then dot temperature underscore C. So this is how we have to map it, and then we can like temperature underscore F, and then wind in kph. So for that also I'll just see that where the data is there. So this wind underscore kph is there, it's there without like a node. Okay, so it will be just there on response underscore get. So I'll just remove response underscore this one, and then wind underscore kph. So basically I'm trying to map 3 property. Okay, so one, but yeah, so let me see that first. Let's make this work. Okay, why this is not working? Let me see this response data transform. We'll see that current locations, why that property is not there. Let me search that in underscore kph. Yeah, it's there. Let me see that where that value is. So underscore current, I think it's there underscore inside that current only. Wind underscore, yeah, so we need to refer that also in current. So it's there inside current. So this is how integrations people usually gets fear, but this is very easy. So here you can see that current temp underscore F and current temp underscore this one. So we'll just save it. So now you can see that we saved it. Now let's run this one and see that. Okay, so what it will do when we'll call this one, we'll run our flow. Okay, it will take the city, the same city, and it will respond the data for that same city. Okay, so I'll trace this one also data transform, and we'll see that what is happening. Okay, so now I'll just fill the city here because this is the important parameter, and then click on continue. Let's see that if you are getting the response. So see here we got that 3 details, 27 degree 80 and 25.9. Here you can see that, okay, that same value we got. Okay, let's see that 27 degree temperature in C, temperature in F 86, 80.6, 80.6, and wind in kph, how much? Let's see that wind in kph we got 25.9. okay, so you can see that our things is working, and we mapped 3 properties, so we can map all also. Okay, so there is no issue. Let me map one more. Okay, that this one from the location. So now we have that this one. Okay, we have that whole our structure, so we can map whatever we want. Okay, so let me map the region or that something. Okay, so let me see that what attribute we have. So locations name, so locations name. Okay, so we already know, so let me map locations local time. So how we can do that? Okay, so we'll go to weather details again, dot locations local time. Okay, so now we have this one, so we'll copy this, we'll copy this one because this is the base, and then we can see here, okay, that inside that response underscore get we have location, so we can just paste locations dot, then we can paste time. Okay, so we can copy this one and save. So now this data page is, okay, we have referred as a thread. Okay, so if I'll go and go back again, okay, and come back, okay, it will again call. So it will depend. So when what will be your data page scope, so that totally depends on your application's use case, but for now we'll call always. See, the local time is also coming in this, so you have to format it. That's time is little like it's coming in a little different way. So this is fine, but we're getting the data now. Everything is doing good. Okay, no issues, but there is a issue. I'll explain you what. Okay, so here you can see that d underscore get weather, and we are trying to map that entire this attributes, and these attributes belongs to integrations layer. Okay, because inside that response, if you see, response underscore get belongs to the class of response underscore get is, let me open that, integrations layer. Okay, so here int. So what will happen? Okay, I mean, there is no harm. If you want, you can use it, and most of the folks, like I've seen many of the applications are using in this way, and so we can map it. Here we are not. So you can see that in applications layer, okay, from applications layer we are just passing that parameter and calling that integrations layer. In integrations layer we are not using applications layer data or application py boxes or anything, which is good. Okay, so we are just passing like using parameter, and it's working, no problem. But the problem is that, let's say in future this d underscore get weather, okay, service got changed. Okay, and today we are connecting to get weather, but tomorrow let's say that some other system is going to give this data. Okay, so then data structure will change. So data structure will change. So then what will happen? You have to come to applications layer and change this entire mapping. Okay, because today maybe the same locations region is coming underscore locations. Tomorrow it can come directly on that same node. Okay, or it can come on some other, let's say in place of location some other value is there. So then what will happen? You have to come to your applications layer and change this mapping. So to how to avoid that one, okay, how to avoid that one is that we can create this weather details. Okay, in like we can directly map the data on weather details in response data transform only. So let's see how we can do that. So what I'll do here, I'll create a property. Okay, so I'll create a property here. In this class, okay, so weather details, and then the class I'll give that same class. Okay, so let me open from here. Let me close few of the things so that you'll not get confused. So here now what I'll do, I'll open this weather details property which is there in my applications layer. So I'll copy this. Now I'll copy this class. Okay, and while creating this one, so this is getting created in a different data layer. This data layer is that integration. So basically where we have the data page or integrations data page. Okay, so now I'll give this class. Okay, so this is the one which we had created, weather details. Okay, so this is our applications data. So now what we can do, we can map the directly data on this one. Okay, because we don't need all. So let's see how we can do it. Okay, so now I have created. What we can do here is, let's come to response data transform again. So open that response data transform here. So now we'll come here, we'll say dot weather details. See, you can see here dot current temperature and this one. So now we know that where this, see, this will easy also. Now mapping will be very easy. So we know that okay, current temperature is there underscore current, and then here temperature in C. See, the all things is coming. For that also here I'm just doing like here only, but you can create a separate data transform, okay, for separate things. Okay, so let me map another. So let's see that temperature in F. So here we'll just do response. See how it is easy. Current, there we were struggling to do that. We have to run, then check the value and other things. Okay, so now weather details dot locations local time. So here we can see that locations and then we'll see local time. Now we mapped 3. Let me map one more property. How many property we were mapping here in get weather details? Wind in kph. Let me map one more. Okay, so now let's run this data page and see where we'll get the data. Okay, and now I'll comment this one. So this is also not required. We don't want to have that entire details on this data page. Okay, so let's come here and run this data page. Trace and run. So you can see that response underscore get also is gone, and we have only inside the weather details, we have only those property which we are looking for. Okay, we have mapped only those. If you see here also d underscore get weather, it has like the only what we are looking. So you can see that this is a very simplified version. So okay, so we have simplified. So we had initially a lot of property, now we are just mapped it what we are looking. Now in applications layer, in this data page, in the data transform, we don't have to do map that entire thing. So now we can comment these things. Okay, we just don't need it, or we can delete as well. So let me delete, and we have to just map this much. So we are copying that the weather details from the data page to weather details inside py walk page. Now let me create a new case and show you. So I'll create another case, conference. Here I'll just say city, and this time I'll give Kolkata, and click on continue. See, we got the data, and let me create a case and we'll review that py walk page, a clipboard page as well. So we don't have, I don't have further steps, but still we can see that our py walk page, and inside py walk page we can see this weather details property. So see, somewhere we should see that weather details and see. So see, like we are almost done with this sessions, but you can see that how we consumed it. Okay, so let's recap what we did. So first we consumed it, okay, by passing that required system name, then we passed a query parameter, and then we uploaded, or we ran that service, and we got that response. So we ran for error code, and then we ran for the success scenario. So finally, then after creating the all records, we got a data page. In this data page, what all records Pega created, or what all rules created, it created a connector rule, and then request and response data transform. Request data transform will be available in integrations layer. Response data transform will be available in the same data page. Okay, because we created that entire data model for response from that wizard only. We can skip it, and we can create our own data class and map it. In response data transform, initially that Pega was, if you are consuming entire things, Pega was creating the whole, replicating that entire integration structure one to one in data to map it. Then we saw that how we can skip, okay, and by creating one page type property request underscore get, by just giving that integrations layer classes, so that we can use the same set of attributes from integrations, like, and then we mapped it. Okay, so this is how we optimize the first level. This, okay, but still this was like mapping entire details, and we saw that in applications layer we have to map each and every attribute. But the problem is that if tomorrow that source system data structure is changing, again we have to come and modify into the applications layer. Okay, so we have to code in such a way that we can avoid that applications layer coding in future. So then the further we optimized, and we already had that weather details objects. Okay, so what we did, we created a weather details objects inside that the data layer. Okay, here weather details, you can see that, and then we mapped it here only. So from here we are mapping. So if tomorrow that response structure is changing, okay, response data structure is changing, we can just update it in response data transform here only. Okay, we can update the database, and we can update the connectors, and we can update here. So this is how we can do, and we can create a more. Here you can create a, like, we can handle it. So here Pega is have given exceptions handling for px database has error. So in otherwise, if you have error, then you can map that error one, or like you have to check that if you have error. So this is basically Pega checks for the error. So if you see here, Pega is checking if you have error, py error page, that py status fail or something. Okay, so Pega check that. In otherwise you can, so in failure scenario, Pega have this features. Okay, like out of the box rule, px error handling template. So you can use this one and customize based on your need. And in happy path you can map this one. Okay, so mapping also you can do, depend, like you can create a multiple data transform and you can map it. So I hope this like, I know this sessions is little big than other session, but I hope this will help you and you can try. And as I have like used that the free one, so you can also use and at least do this POC. So thank you very much, have a good day.